The stars were quiet that night, but the silence did not mean peace. Far beyond the borders of human space, in the deep black, a lonely distress beacon floated between suns. Its signal was not a call for help, it's a warning. The message repeated over and over in an alien tongue. Stay away from Earth. Do not engage. Do not provoke. Do not wake what sleeps there. The beacon's voice was tired, broken, almost desperate, but the message came too late. The Galactic Council had already made their decision. For years, they had watched the humans from a safe distance, studying transmissions, scanning cities, tracking their ships. The Council's records called humanity a young, reckless species, smart enough to be dangerous, but too primitive to truly threaten the galaxy. The Council believed they were the guardians of order. They claimed they acted for the safety of all civilizations. And now, they said, humanity needed control before their curiosity turned into chaos. When the proposal came to contain Earth, the vote passed in less than a day. They would send fleets to patrol human space, seize dangerous technology, and place Earth under the Council's supervision. Some delegates asked if humans had been consulted. Others laughed. But why would they ask? No one asked for permission from Parisian. And so, under the glow of distant suns, a Council fleet began its slow approach toward the Sol system. Hundreds of ships, their silver hulls gleaming like blades, drifted together in perfect formation. Their captains felt confident humans would have no choice but to obey. After all, their warships were small, their fleets scattered, their technology outdated. The Council had crushed greater powers with less effort. On the bridge of the flagship, High Commander Verrill stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his long blue uniform spotless. He looked out at the holographic star map, watching the tiny point of light that was Earth. Primitive, he muttered. They will kneel before the day ends, his crew chuckled. Some even placed bets on how long it would take. None of them noticed the unease in the voice of the fleet's sensor chief. Hours later, as the first Council ships crossed the edge of the solar system, something strange happened. Long-range scans picked up faint energy readings deep below Earth's oceans. At first, they dismissed it as human submarines. But the readings grew stronger, sharper, unlike any known human power source. The waves of energy pulsed in a slow rhythm, like the heartbeat of a giant. The sensor chief's voice broke through the chatter. Sir, something is moving under the water, and it's enormous. The crew gathered around the displays. The image was blurry, the scale almost impossible to believe. Whatever it was rising, slowly, deliberately from the deep. On Earth, no announcement was made. No warning to the public, no orders to evacuate. Lay a handful of humans. Knew what was about to surface. In the Pacific Ocean, the water began to churn violently, spirals of foam tearing across the waves. Fishermen miles away felt their boats shake, as if an earthquake was tearing the sea apart. From the darkness below, a shadow emerged, long, black, and smooth as glass. Water poured off its surface in shimmering waterfalls. Higher, until the shape of a massive vessel towered above the waves. No one in the Council fleet had seen anything like it. Its size dwarfed the largest human ships. Its armor carried no markings, no lights, nothing to suggest it belonged to any known navy. The sensor readings spiked, and the alien officers realized this was no relic. This ship was alive with Powerite's weapon systems humming with a low, deep sound that made their teeth ache. Its design was old, far older than anything humans should have been able to build. It did not match any recorded ship in the galactic archives, should not exist. And yet it was here, staring at them. With silent menace, the bridge of the alien flagship erupted in alarm. Identify that vessel, Verrill barked. Broadcast a demand for them to power down. A signal was sent. There was no reply. Second signal was sent. Still nothing. The alien fleet began to form a defensive wall, their guns charging. But unease was already spreading through the crews. The ship in the water wasn't moving to attack. It was just watching then, without warning. Its voice came not through any comms channel, but through a direct focused transmission aimed At the flagship, it was a human voice, deep and calm. "We never ask for permission." The words echoed in the alien bridge, cold and final. Before anyone could react, a blinding flash cut through the darkness. The beam was so fast, the first alien ship it hit was gone before the others even realized it had been destroyed. No wreckage, no flames. Just empty space where a warship had been. Moments before, silence fell across the Council fleet. The Leviathan, the name whispered by the few humans who knew it, slowly began to move forward, its dark hull cutting through the water like a blade. Every alien officer felt the same icy realization creep into their thoughts. The Council had come to contain Earth, but they had woken something else entirely. The Council fleet drifted in uneasy silence. The space where their warship had been was now nothing but cold, empty void. No wreckage floated, no fire burned, just a hole in their formation and a sick weight in the air. On the alien flagship's bridge, High Commander Verrill stood frozen, his eyes locked on the black vessel slowly moving away from the ocean's surface. The humans had not fired again. They didn't need to. That single shot had been a warning one, so precise and devastating that it left no doubt about the ship's power. The Council's fleets had seen many kinds of weapons across countless wars, but nothing like this. No known energy signature matched it. No shield in the galaxy could have withstood it. The Leviathan, as humans called it, rose fully from the waves. It was longer than the alien flagship by several hundred meters, its armor dark and featureless. Strange ridges ran along its sides, each one glowing faintly like molten lines beneath glass. No windows broke its surface, and yet it seemed to be watching the fleet with a cold, unblinking eye. Verrill forced himself to speak. "Hail them again. This time, make it clear they are violating Galactic Council security law." The comms officer swallowed hard but obeyed. The message was sent. In every major galactic language, including the crude, clipped dialect used in early contact with humans, the reply came instantly in perfect translation. "You came without asking," the voice said. "Now you will leave without speaking." The words weren't shouted. They weren't even angry. But they carried something heavier, a certainty, as if the humans already knew how this would end. The alien crew exchanged nervous glances. This was not the tone of a species begging for peace. Verrill clenched his jaw. "Bring the fleet into attack formation. Target their engines. Disable the ship, and we'll take it apart piece by piece." The order was carried out. Dozens of alien warships swung into a wide circle, weapons charging, targeting data flashing across their screens. But in the Leviathan's command center, far beneath armored decks, human officers were already watching their every move. "Multiple locks," said a young tactical officer, her voice calm. "Permission to return fire?" A tall man stood at the center of the bridge. His uniform was black, without insignia. He rested one hand on the arm of his command chair, his eyes on the tactical display. "No," he said. "Let them shoot first." The alien fleet opened fire. Beams of blue and gold light cut across the void, smashing into the Leviathan's armor. Explosions rippled along the hull, but when the smoke cleared, the black ship remained untouched. The armor seemed to drink the energy, scattering it harmlessly. The alien crews stared in disbelief. Impossible. One alien weapons officer whispered, "That armor, it bends the beams away." On the Leviathan, the commander finally spoke. "Return fire." The first volley wasn't meant to destroy, it was meant to humiliate. Small, precise blasts struck the alien ship's weapon mounts, tearing off their guns in showers of molten metal. One by one, their weapons went silent. Panic spread across the fleet. Verrill gritted his teeth. "Fall back. All ships fall." He never finished the sentence. A single lance of light from the Leviathan pierced the flagship's port side, slicing through it in complete silence. The flagship shuddered, lights flickered, and then the great vessel split in two. The Leviathan did not pursue the survivors, simply turned, gliding toward open space like a predator leaving a mark. But its departure was not escape, it was a statement. Across the galaxy, the Council had been feared for centuries. No species had ever dared to defy them openly. But as the fragments of the flagship burned in the dark, one truth settled like a shadow over every alien who witnessed the battle. The humans had never asked for permission. And now, it was clear they never would. The Council survivors limped away from Earth's orbit, their broken ships scattering like frightened prey. But the galaxy was vast, and pride was a dangerous thing. Within hours of the defeat, messages were sent to the farthest Council outposts. Reinforcements were ordered fast, overwhelming, and merciless. In the Council's war chamber, holograms of the destroyed fleet flickered in cold blue light. Admirals and generals gathered, their faces hard and tense. High Commander Varels, second-in-command, stood before them, recounting the battle. He spoke of the black human ship, its impossible armor, its devastating weaponry, mentioned the single warning the humans had given before the destruction began. The room was silent. Finally, one of the elder generals leaned forward. One ship cannot stand against the full strength of the Council. We will return with enough firepower to tear their world apart. And so they came, hundreds of fresh warships. Bristling with weapons and carrying the most advanced shielding technology the galaxy could offer, poured into the Sol system. Their engines burned like stars, their formation tight and perfect. This time, they believed, there would be no surprise, no mistake, no escape for humanity. In orbit around Earth, the Leviathan waited. From its command deck, the human crew watched. The approaching armada, no alarms sounded, no panicked voices called for retreat. The ship's commander stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes fixed on the display. "They think we only have one trick," he said quietly. "Let's prove them wrong." Far above the Earth, hidden in the cold dark around the moon, something began to move. Metallic towers unfolded from craters, their long black barrels glinting in starlight. The railgun platforms, dormant for decades, hummed with lethal energy. Each was capable of firing projectiles at speeds so great they could tear through a planet's crust. The alien fleet noticed too late. The first railgun fired, the projectile slamming into a Council cruiser and punching a hole clean through its center. No explosion, no fire, just sudden, violent absence. Before the fleet could react, a second platform fired, then a third. Then all at once, panic erupted among the alien ships. Shields were useless. The projectiles ignored energy barriers entirely. One by one, warships fell, ripped apart in the silence of space. But the humans didn't stop there. Small, fast corvettes launched from hidden docks, weaving between the Council warships like wolves in a herd. They carried no energy weapons only, jagged chunks of rock pulled from nearby asteroids, each one turned into a guided missile. When the rock struck, the results were catastrophic. Ships shattered. Formations collapsed. On the alien flagship, Admiral Kirith roared for order. Close ranks, push through to the planet. But every path was blocked, every maneuver countered. It was as if the humans had predicted their every move before the battle began. The Leviathan finally joined the fight, gliding forward like a shadow of death. It didn't fire immediately, it simply moved into the center of the alien formation, daring them to focus their fire. When they did, the black armor drank in their fury, just as before. Then the Leviathan's guns came alive, and the battle ended faster than it began. Within 30 minutes, what had been the most powerful fleet in the galaxy was reduced to drifting debris. The survivors fled without orders, scattering to distant space in terror. From the moon's surface, the railguns folded back into their craters, disappearing as if they had never existed. On the Leviathan's bridge, the commander spoke only one sentence before turning away from the view screen: "Send them home with a story they will never forget." And so the Council's second armada returned, battered and humiliated, carrying the same message to their leaders, a message that was spreading like wildfire through the stars. Humans never asked for permission, and they were far from finished. Defeat of the Second Armada sent shockwaves through the galaxy. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, where the air was usually filled with smug confidence, a heavy silence now ruled. Delegates whispered in dark corners. Some demanded explanations, others demanded vengeance. No one wanted to admit it aloud, but the truth hung over them like a shadow. The humans had not just won 2 battles. They had humiliated the Council. In front of the entire galaxy still, arrogance dies slowly. The Council told themselves that humanity's victories came from luck, from surprise, from tricks that could not be repeated. They were wrong. Weeks later, the Council gathered its largest war fleet in 1,000 years. Every capital ship, every elite squadron, every weapon prototype was brought into service. The admirals boasted that they would wipe Earth from the star. Charts, the delegates cheered, their fear buried under layers of pride. They still saw humans as a reckless young species that had bitten off more than it could chew. They still believed numbers alone would crush them. But deep in human space, preparations had already begun. The Leviathan's commander knew the Council would return in force, and he intended to greet them properly. Earth's shipyards worked around the clock, but not in the open. Beneath oceans, inside hollowed-out asteroids, and under the ice of distant moons. Humanity's secret weapons waited for the moment to strike. The Council fleet arrived with such size that their approach blotted out the stars in the Sol system. Billions across Earth, Mars, and the colonies watched in silence as the enemy filled the skies. This was no surgical strike. It was a declaration the galaxy's most powerful empire had come to end humanity from the alien flagship. Grand Admiral Thriss broadcast a final message to Earth. You will stand down. You will surrender all vessels, all weapons, and all control of your worlds. Refuse, and you will be erased from history. The humans didn't respond. Not in words. A low rumble began, faint at first, then growing into a thunder that vibrated through the vacuum of space as magnetic storms flared across the moon's surface. The old railguns rose again, but this time they were not alone. New towers, taller and broader, unfolded like mechanical giants. Their barrels glowed red as if fire burned within them. These were not defensive weapons. These were siege cannons, built to break the largest ships in the galaxy in a single shot. Thriss laughed when he saw them. Primitive sticks, he called. His laughter ended 30 seconds later when the first siege round hit his fleet. Capital ship vanished in an explosion so violent that the light blinded dozens of sensors across the system. Then the smaller ships moved in. Human strike craft, built for speed and precision, darted between the massive alien vessels like insects too fast to swat. They carried no shields, no energy weapons, just hardened armor and kinetic warheads. Each time one struck, an alien ship turned into nothing but a drifting skeleton of metal. In the chaos, a single human vessel slipped past the alien lines. It was small, barely the size of a freighter, and it carried no visible weapons. The aliens ignored it until it reached the heart of the fleet. Then the vessel split open, revealing its payload, a cluster of guided asteroid fragments, each one thrusted by independent drives. They shot outward, punching holes through ships in every direction. The alien fleet's perfect formation shattered. Orders became shouts. Shouts became screams. And then the Leviathan entered the battlefield. It came not from Earth this time, but from behind the alien fleet, rising from the shadow of Jupiter. In the alien command decks, panic spread. They had no idea it had even been there. Grand Admiral Thriss gave the order to retreat, but it was too late. The Leviathan's guns spoke, and each shot was a death sentence. Ships vanished, cut cleanly apart. Others exploded in blossoms of fire. The great fleet that was meant to erase humanity was being erased itself. When it was over, Leviathan did not chase the survivors. Instead, it broadcast a single message to the entire system. You came to our home. Next, we will come to yours. And somewhere deep in alien territory, whispers began to spread, whispers of war not on human soil, but in the heart of the Council itself. The galaxy had not yet seen humanity's true fury. That was still to come. The galaxy had always believed wars began at borders. That was how the Council fought push into enemy territory. Secure supply lines, grind them down slowly. But the humans did not think like the Council. They did not wait for the next invasion. Day after the Council's third great fleet was destroyed, the Leviathan vanished from human space. It didn't flee, slipped away like a hunter going silent in the forest. For weeks, alien scouts searched the edges of the Sol system, expecting another defense. What they didn't know was that the war had already moved to their side. It began with silence. A mining colony on the edge of Council space stopped sending reports. When a patrol ship went to investigate, it found the asteroid dock empty. No workers, no machines, not even wreckage. The only thing left behind was a single message burned into the stations. Bulkhead in human language. We decide where the fight happens. Then another outpost went dark. Then a refueling depot. Then two trade convoys. The attacks were so fast, so clean, that by the time distress signals reached the Council, the attackers were already gone. No energy trails, no escape vectors, nothing. In the war chamber, panic replaced arrogance. Admirals argued over whether these were small raids or the beginning of something larger. But every officer who had seen the Leviathan knew the truth. Humanity was no longer defending itself. Humanity was hunting. In a star system far from Earth, the truth finally became clear. A massive Council shipyard, capable of building entire fleets, woke to alarms as every defense system came online. Unknown vessels had entered the system, dozens of them. The defenders scrambled to meet them, only to realize they were surrounded. The ships weren't large, but they were fast, blindingly fast. Before the defenders could react, the human strike craft released their weapons, jagged asteroid fragments wrapped in magnetic sheaths. They tore through the shipyard's outer defenses like paper. Then the Leviathan appeared. It emerged from the darkness between two moons, moving with the slow, unstoppable certainty of a predator closing in on its prey. The defenders threw everything they had at it: beams, torpedoes, drivers. But the black armor swallowed their fury like raindrops hitting stone. The Leviathan's first shot was not at a warship. It targeted the central manufacturing core of the shipyard. The explosion lit the system like a false sunrise. The second shot crippled the command tower. The third ended the battle entirely. Hours later, the humans were gone. Not a single human ship remained in sensor range. Only the ruins of one of the Council's most important military installations drifted in silence. The loss was a wound the Council could not hide. Across the galaxy, alien merchants whispered in markets. Smugglers traded rumors in shadowy bars, and soldiers muttered in fear. They spoke of humans who struck without warning, who vanished without a trace, who never asked permission. On the Leviathan's bridge, the commander stood in the quiet glow of the tactical display. "They think we're just raiding them," he said to his officers. "They don't see it yet. This isn't a raid. This is the path to their heart." And in the darkness between stars, humanity prepared for the next step, not to defend their home, but to break the Council in its own capital. Under the gaze of the entire galaxy, the Galactic Council's capital world had never known fear. Skies were always clear, its fleets always strong, its people certain that the seat of galactic power was untouchable. But fear has a way of spreading quietly, like smoke through the cracks of a fortress, and by now, whispers of the humans had reached even the shining spires of the capital. Still, the Council believed they had time. They thought the humans would strike at border worlds first, at military outposts and shipyards, forcing the Council to defend in layers. They thought wrong. Far beyond the capital's main patrol zone, deep inside the system's outer asteroid belt, something vast and black drifted between the rocks. The Leviathan was here, hidden in the shadow of frozen stone, its engines cold, its armor blending with the void. It had been here for days, watching, mapping every patrol route, every gap in the capital's defenses. In the Council's grand chamber, delegates argued over troop movements and resource shortages, still believing their fleets could crush humanity if they struck hard enough. But above them, in the quiet reaches of space, the real threat was already in position. The attack began without warning. It wasn't the Leviathan's guns that struck first, it was the sky itself. The capital's two outer defense stations exploded. Almost simultaneously, their destruction so sudden that no distress signals were sent. Seconds later, the moon of Kerith, which housed the system's largest long-range sensor array, lit up with a blinding flash before crumbling into debris. The capital's early warning net was gone. From the darkness, 2 ships emerged, not one. The second Leviathan had arrived. It was smaller than the first, but faster, built for quick strikes.
Ah!
The Council had never even guessed it existed.
Oh.
The 2 warships moved together, cutting through the outer defenses before the capital fleet could even scramble. Panic swept the defense command. Orders overlapped, ships collided in their rush to respond. Then the first Leviathan's voice broke through every channel, clear and calm in a dozen alien languages. "We came here because you wouldn't stay away. This is your only chance to live. Stand down or we will burn this system until the stars are the only things left." But the Council's pride was too heavy, their fear too fresh. The order to attack was given. What followed was not a battle, it was a dismantling. The faster Leviathan darted through the enemy formation, disabling engines and weapons with surgical precision. The larger Leviathan fired only when necessary, each shot erasing a capital ship from existence. Railgun projectiles from hidden human escort ships tore through the void, punching holes in anything that tried to escape. Within 20 minutes, the skies over the capital were littered with burning wrecks. The humans did not target civilian structures, but the message was clear. The Council's heart was not safe. Not anymore then. Just as quickly as they had arrived, the Leviathans turned away. They didn't occupy the capital. They didn't demand surrender. They left only a single transmission, sent to every system in the Council's territory. "You thought we would wait for your fleets. You thought we would play by your rules. We never asked for permission, and we never fight where you expect." The black ships vanished into the stars. The capital's people looked to the skies with something they had never felt before: dread. The war was no longer about defending Earth. It was about making the galaxy understand one truth: humanity would decide when and where this war ended. The Galactic Council's capital had barely begun to repair its defenses when the humans returned.
Ow.
This time there were no warnings, no slow approach, no weeks of whispers. They came in the middle of the capital's brightest day, when the sky was clear and the great spires shone in the light of the system's twin suns. Shadows fell across the city as 2 massive shapes eclipsed the light. The Leviathans were here, both of them hovering above the atmosphere like silent executioners. People on the streets stopped and stared, their voices turning to frightened murmurs. Even those who had seen the previous attack could not believe the humans would come back so soon and so openly. In the Council's war command, alarms wailed. Admirals barked orders, scrambling what little remained of the fleet. Most ships were still in repair docks. Humans had chosen their moment well. But it quickly became clear that they hadn't come for a battle. They'd come for something far more dangerous. A message boomed across every channel, translated into every language spoken in Council space: "This war ends today. You will never enter our systems again. You will never touch our worlds. And you will never decide our fate. If you refuse, we will erase your fleets, your stations, and your seat of power." The voice was calm. It wasn't a threat, it was a verdict. Council guards filled the skies, forming a shaky wall between the city and the Leviathans. The humans did not fire. Instead, dozens of small craft detached from the black warships, descending into the atmosphere. They were unarmed, or at least, they appeared to be. The Council considered shooting them down, but hesitation routed their decision. If the humans had come to destroy the city, they wouldn't have sent shuttles. The craft landed in the heart of the capital, on the very plaza where the Council's towering chamber stood. Human soldiers emerged tall, armored in matte black, their visors reflecting the alien faces around them. They marched in perfect silence toward the chamber doors. Inside, the Council delegates rose from their seats, some shouting, others backing away. The humans stopped at the center of the hall. Their commander, the same man who had spoken from the Leviathan's bridge in the first battle, removed his helmet. His eyes were steady, his voice low. "You thought we would kneel. You thought we would beg. You thought we were like every other world you've broken. We are not. We never were." He took a slow step forward. you will leave us alone. We'll sign it now, and if you've ever come near our worlds again. He glanced toward the massive windows, where the Leviathans loomed like gods above the city. We will not just come for your fleets, we'll come for this place, and we will not leave until nothing stands. The chamber was silent, except for the sound of his boots as he stepped back. Then, slowly, one by one, the council delegates placed their seals on the agreement. No fleet would ever again enter human space. No interference. No control. No demands. The humans did not celebrate. They simply turned and left. The shuttles rose into the sky, vanishing into the Leviathans' holds. Moments later, the black warships pulled away from the capital, their engines glowing like dying embers in the distance. In the years that followed, alien children would whisper about the day the humans came to the Council's homeworld and walked into the heart of its power without a single shot fired. They would whisper the words that had ended the war, words that had echoed through every star system in the galaxy. We never asked for permission.